This is David. I was going to put on Remembering Bonnie and Clyde full documentary, but I'm not going to. Impounded? What? That can't be right. That's wrong. She was at a hotel. Yes. Anyways, what am I going to put on then? I'm just looking through videos. None of these videos. I'm just scrolling through my Watch Later playlist on YouTube. Mercedes-Benz 1987 sales training. Yes. This is sales training for Mercedes car dealers to show their salesmen. I've watched some of this. And apparently be the one that I'm looking for. This one also has copyrighted music in it. Wow, I just can't think of any video to play. I suppose I could finish that book. There's just so many other books though. I'm gonna play 1971 News Special Report Compton.
Front yard, the camper, the boat. Temptingly close to the Los Angeles ghetto in the 50s and 60s, it became the Black American dream. Open housing paved the way as middle-class blacks flooded into the city. Whites don't buy houses in Compton anymore. Now, with 74% of the population, black power is the fact of life, from banks to bowling alleys. But the dream that many blacks thought they were buying has turned sour. Though the mayor and 4 out of 5 city councilmen are black, they have been unable to solve the problems of crime and growing welfare, which is slowly turning suburban Compton into an extension of the black inner city. Crime is now as high as the ghetto. 47 homicides last year gave Compton one of the highest per capita rates in the country. Juvenile gang activity, muggings, small robberies make some blacks want to leave. Compton officials blame outsiders for much of their crime problem, but there is general agreement the police force is undermanned. When the gang problem got out of hand in the high schools, parents volunteered to help tutor and counsel students, and the situation cooled. But crime is just one of Compton's unique problems. Poor families, many on welfare, moved to the suburb expecting to find work. Instead, they found unemployment, and the welfare rolls have grown. City leaders have tried to stop the trend. 2 years ago, they annexed 540 acres of industrial park, a new length found in every suburb, but Compton has an additional problem. Low-income housing attracts families from the inner city. Many are unable to keep up mortgage payments, and when the homes are abandoned, the property declines.
Wow, that was
Suddenly,
quick.
the middle-class black, who moved here in the first place to get away from the problems of the ghetto, would like to move again. It is ironic for the whites who stayed in
No!
now watching both whites and blacks moving out. They wanted this city, now they've got it. Black leaders say they got the shell of a city at the bottom of a 20-year economic decline. City leaders know the problems, and they have programs working on them. But in 6 years of control, they have learned there are no magic solutions just because blacks are in power. Bill Curtis, CBS News, Compton, California. Lonnie Cox, COX, right. You mentioned me before that you'd like to leave Compton. Why?
Well, like I said before, I'm looking for better things. You know, I don't want to stay still. I'm trying to progress. You know. And if I can find anything better anywhere else, I'd be glad to move out of Compton.
What's wrong here?
Well, several activities, but all that's settled down now. You know, we talked to a few guys on the street here, in which Pyro runs a long ways, but they seem to think that this is the only street that is causing all the confusion. You know, overloaded schools, and the homes in LA, they are paying less taxes. And
The blacks who would like to move out of this city. Why is that?
well, I can't explain that. I know that's something I just can't explain. I don't know. It's because of violence. But we have violence in LA, like I said, and people are moving out of LA also, you know. But it's rough all over, really. And Compton just seemed to have the name because it's just I guess because it's the majority of them is black and everything happened in all black neighborhood. It seems to bear right down on a little stronger than it would if it was in LA, you know.
What do you think about the black leadership of the city, the mayor, city council?
Well, I don't know that much about him, so I really couldn't comment on him. But I know we need better law enforcement. I know this, you know. So if he can ALLANHARDE. Blacks are moving out of Compton. Why? What's wrong? It's more like, hey, it's more like too much crime. People's walking down the street getting shot. It's more like you can't do hardly nothing without getting shot or even getting jumped on. So like, George is more like want to live out of Compton.
And it seems like this is really a dream city, and blacks thought Compton was a dream city, you know, at one time.
It's a dream city, but, you know, like, the street itself is quiet. But once, like, you have other people, outsiders coming down the street want to take over something, like, what else can you do?
So you just move away from it.
Well, I'm not going to move away. I said that now.
Why the crime? Why these problems, do you think?
I don't know if it's more like the game rate or what, or trying to see who's baddest or what, I don't know. I really can't say.
You know, as blacks move from Watts, let's say, into Compton, is it a behavioral thing, or, you know, is it the poor black? Is it blacks who just don't like other kinds of blacks moving?
You gotta explain this.
Okay,
No,
It's not that blacks don't like blacks.
Well, let me start that over.
Alright.
Okay.
It's not that blacks live here. That's what they're here for.
Why do the people want to move?
Why do people want to move? I don't see. It's not too many people have been moving off this street, really. Well, around the community.
Yes.
The reason they are moving.
Come on, what did I do?
The violence that happens on the street.
The muggings, killings, and things like that.
Well, that's what you want to say, yeah.
Okay,
like united together, and they protect the street only.
How about in the community?
Well, other communities outside.
No, in Compton.
Well, I don't see too much violence here myself. But it do happen at night, that's when the outsiders come in and try to take over. So that's why the violence. They're here to protect.
Okay.
Well, like I was saying, you was asking about violence. When I first moved to Compton, it was violence here then, and the majority was white. And when we went to school, when we went to school in Compton High School, the parents had to carry the school because the whites was jumping on the blacks. So violence has been here all the time.
No, it's a black.
She'd have run.
Well, yeah, it's a black violence, but I guess they don't have anything else to do. They want something to participate in, and they wouldn't have all this violence.
You were leading to a point that I threw you off the track. We were talking. What were we talking about? Why?
Well, because I think if the mayor had a chance to do what he wanted to do, it would probably be a better city. I don't know if there was something about some money once that the mayor supposed to have messed over. Come to find out that taxes on us every year, and they knew you have to qualify to get in a home, number one. And once you get into the home, you have to be making so much, to qualify. And once you get into them, they're raising taxes on you every year. Eventually, you'll lose your home, And this is what they got set up now, where, we got a lot of empty houses out here.
Callaway, C-A-L-L-A-W-O-W. 10 years ago, whites were leaving the city in droves. Open housing. Blacks were coming in from the center of LA. That was the migration pattern. It was sort of a dream city. And blacks now have 72% of the population. Really, black power exists here in the establishment, police, fire department, mayor, city council. How have blacks done in governing themselves in Compton? And in answering that, you can kind of give me a description of Compton, where it stands today.
Well, I think my description of Compton over the past 10 years has been very positive. I've been in the wig business in downtown Compton here for about 80 years, and I've seen a change in the downtown area of Compton. The people are still shopping here. The merchants are still making money here. There have been very few changes by talking to the merchants in the community. We all stand here and we're sticking it out. But with a little bit more support, a little bit of
Since he left, ain't too much change. Still in the wig bit.
I love Compton, and this is why I stayed here in Compton and made my home here in Compton. And on the problem, it's about 5 or 6 guys on the Compton Police Department that played football with me at the college. And the reason they're still here because they have an interest in the community, and they're really undermanned by the police department. This is where they feel that they need more help because
You've hired a security guard here, haven't you, up and down the streets?
Yes, we have security up and down the street to give our customers a little bit more security. We had security on Manchester and Broadway in 1965 before the Watch Riot. You don't see these type of problems. Security comes to Compton 6 years, say 5 years later, and then it's a big issue. Compton needs security. I have a store in the Crenshaw and Santa Barbara area. We had security over there before Compton. And so I don't feel as if the news media have been fair to Compton based on this, by me having stores in these locations. I've never been held up here in Compton. I've never had a hold up. I don't think there have been too many holdups on the downtown merchants in Compton compared to Manchester, Broadway, Crenshaw, and Santa Barbara. And it's known world over. Anywhere I go, people know of Compton because of the Compton relay, the great football teams. It's positive, so look for the help.
Chamber of Commerce, I want you to go back if we can. You're here 3 months, and you said you had a lot of misgivings about Compton. What were they?
Well, I'm like a lot of people sitting on the outside. I believe every customer today. An auspicious sign.
Associations.
I just got here and I have to deal with this shit.
In the area, neophyte in this type of a situation, I didn't realize that that in the black community there was so much really business and acumen available.
How about experience? Experience within the black government here.
Well, let's put it this way: the black hasn't had an opportunity up until just recently to become active in government. So he is learning as he participates. Let's put it this way. But you can quote me; they're learning fast. I mean, I sit in a city council meeting or a planning commission meeting, and I'm amazed at the foresight and the business sense of the people in charge.
You found problems also when you came here.
Problems? Well, don't we all find problems? You show me any city in America doesn't have problems, and I'll move out tomorrow. We all have problems. Compton has problems. Compton has undergone in the past 10, 15 years quite a change. I mean, we have this city has had a metamorphosis, if you will, from at one time Compton was the hub city of Southern California. It was a medium income, solid, white community that was.
They call it Hub City and Dream City.
Throughout the whole West. Then period of years, to the extent that today it's 75% black.
Run, Cheetah, run!
And in all of this change, certainly there's been a little neglect, and you've overlooked a lot of things that are necessary in the progress of a good American type progressive city. I have found that the basic thing that we need in Compton is a more unified effort on the part of all of the organizations, all of the citizens, the commerce, the industry, and the city government towards developing a spirit of pride of community and a spirit of pride in the appearance of our community. Like most cities, we've neglected our housekeeping. And
why is that, I wonder? Is that a carryover from the ghetto of Watts? From old habits?
Well, now let's put, when you talk about the ghetto of Watts, Watts it's a name, you know, that was affiliated with the...
Well, don't let me put it on track. Is that a carryover from the poorer sections of the blacks who came from a welfare condition, let's say, in that Watts area and moved into Compton?
Yes, there are a lot of the blacks who were a lot of them are on welfare. A lot of them, federally funded, and these people they just don't have the pride of ownership because they're dealing with an absentee landlord who doesn't particularly care about the appearance of his property as long as he gets the rent in. And a lot of these people have never lived in a home before, and it isn't like owning your own home. And there's a lot of them that don't supervise their children as well as they should. They let them mess around and degrade the environment in which they live. And this is one thing we're trying to correct. Now, this isn't true of the city of Compton. We have pockets here and there, like every city has, that need attention. Basically, the city as a whole is in pretty good shape. But there are areas that do need a little housekeeping attention, like all cities do. And
not good.
We intend to see that this is done because...
A lot of communities have had these problems before. As you say, in the past, you're not unique. One reason that people have been looking to Compton is because, for the first time, black power really exists. The mayor, the city council, black leadership. And why haven't they been able to come to grips with these problems?
Why? You mean the black leadership? Well, I would say this, that it isn't a question of not being able to come to grips. They just haven't realized until just now, possibly, the basic importance of what we're talking about as far as good housekeeping is concerned. They have been so committed to the necessary funds to concentrating more on that aspect of it and sort of neglecting, leaving it up to the citizen to take care. Like I told a bunch of citizens the other day, I said, look, you can't expect 5 councilmen at City Hall to put the show on the road like we're talking about. They didn't foul it up to the condition that it's in. It's the people themselves. And what we're advocating is the time is now for a do-it-yourself rehabilitation drive in the city of Compton, involving every man, woman, and child, to clean it up, paint it up, pick up the paper off the street, and get rid of the cans and the garbage, and if the house needs painting, let's do it.
Their task has been really pretty difficult, hasn't it?
Very difficult.
An influx of new blacks into this area. They've had to deal with all kinds of things. Problems almost that have been tougher than other suburbs.
Yes, that's true. They have had problems that are unique to, I can think of no other community in America, because you cannot compare Compton with a lot of the eastern ghetto type areas. I want to emphasize once again,
The suburbs, the white suburb.
can I compare it to white suburbs? Well, yes, I can. What type of comparison do you want with the white
I'm
suburbs?
thinking, if we compare it with white suburbs, what are the unique problems that make it different?
The unique problems? Well, the white suburb, 4 and 5 bedroom homes, and larger. We don't have that in Compton. Compton is 85 years old, and we have a lack of the type of affluent housing, if you will, that is prevalent in the suburbs. So what we have to do is come in and renovate an 85-year-old city to meet our needs. We very badly need homes, upgraded homes. We have a very affluent group of people in this city. Your businessmen, your professional men, who I'm sure would love to live in Compton, but they can't afford and they demand something a little better than just the type of residence that's available to them.
Homes are upgraded by an upper or middle class. The other suburbs have rather affluent, as you say, white job holders. You have an influx of rather poor people from, let's say, a ghetto or slum condition comparatively in Los Angeles. As we've been talking about, this problem is rather difficult to deal with. Is this going to become just another slum unable to...
Absolutely not. And I'm going to challenge that particular statement. We don't have an influx of what you talk ghetto-type people from the slums into Compton. We have here and there in some, and of course we have to welcome them. They're part of our community, and we have to work and get along with them. But the majority of the people in Compton are a fairly affluent society, and they own their own homes. And the point I'm trying to make
is that somebody white is running a chamber of commerce for a black city.
No, I don't think so. Like I said a minute ago, I was sent in here to integrate Compton. No, actually, our Chamber of Commerce, I have a 24-man board of directors. A good percentage of the members of my board of directors are black. We don't even think about that situation around here. I'm sorry you asked this question, but actually, the majority of the people that I represent, the commercial and the industrial and the professional and the utility banks and savings and loan people, the majority of the leaders of these different organizations are white. And frankly, the black-white situation is a fabric of the imagination as far as we don't think about it. We go out to socialize, and the color situation is just non-existent around here.
Well, you said that the black community does not support black merchants.
This is true.
Why?
I can't answer that question. As a matter of fact, the
possibly it might be this situation because of the background of our America. Let's face it, the bigotry we've had in America. Your black businessmen have not had the opportunity to build up their great corporations and to get the know-how that it takes to do business in modern America. It's the same thing with you. I doubt very much if you could find really a black chamber executive, because there just hasn't been up until now any call for it. I will say this, that there are right now at our Santa Clara training for Chamber of Commerce industries. A lot of your black scholars are going in there taking it. Eventually they will be welcome into the profession. But the thing is, there's two things as far as the black businessman is concerned. A lot of them are not, and somehow or other, as these editorialists have tried to bring out, the black are just not supporting the black merchant, the black population.
Two final questions. One on gangs. What is the gang problem here? The crime problem? Why is it higher, I suppose, than elsewhere?
Well, I'll question that. It's higher in theory, on paper. You read it in the paper. Sure, we have problems. Show me a city that doesn't have problems. Our youth today, they're not gangs in the real sense of the word, like you find back east. But there are a lot of young people that are in college or in school and so forth, not particularly college, more in the elementary, junior, and the high school areas, that the basic educational system hasn't appealed to them. A lot of them are high school dropouts, and when they drop out of high school, they have nothing to do. They're not trained for a job, so they hang around the peripheries of the high school, not attending, and they get together, misery loves company, and they set up a kind of a group.
How is that the case, if there's somebody right outside waiting?
They get
Cheetah, there's something going on here.
I did it when we were kids. We got on the next block, we'd fight back and forth.
Cheetah, get in the thing!
So
And then you need to eat something.
this is a situation that these kids, they move from school to school, and they set up, they'll pick a fancy name, and they'll have a gang, their branches all over. They're not organized really like in the true sense of a gang, but they drive around, they're on wheels, and they go from one community to the other, and they get in their little parades.
Is that a dump truck down there? That look like a dump truck? I don't know if it is.
There's been some shootings and that sort of thing.
That's not mine. Let's don't dwell on it. There are more important things. I agree with you. There are other major cities around the country that are turning all black, or a majority of black. Is Compton the wave of the future? What can we learn from the experience here?
The wave of the future.
Learn a couple of things. Number one, that contrary to popular opinion, the blacks are very capable of operating and running a city. Number two, and I mean this sincerely in my conversation, frankly, the blacks don't want a total black city. Blacks want integration. And the thing that makes a total black city, and I'm going to say this with impunity, that what makes a black city like Compton or a black city like any other city that may be evolving is just a bunch of bigoted whites. And I mean that sincerely. Because
Well, what is he saying that's not sincere?
I'm getting along great.
This is Charles Miller, who is assistant. The essential feature of Compton's unique problems is that it's a city in transition, and it represents a city that approximately 10 years ago was almost all white, and now it's 74 to 75% black, with approximately 15 to 18% Mexican Americans, and the rest white and other. Now, this transition means that it's unique in that the kinds of things that have happened to cities that have changed that didn't previously exist.
Like what?
Problems, first of all, we have to recognize that in our society there still exists a double standard with regard to white and non-white persons. This means that the change from white to non-white in Compton has brought forth all the kinds of things engendered by these, what I would term very frankly, racist feelings. Now, in addition to that, we have a period of approximately 20 years in which a downtrend in the economy has taken place. This means that at the inception of the, quote, new regime, we suddenly find ourselves at the bottom end of the downtrend. And people assign a causal relation to this with respect to the ethnic changes that have taken place.
So the black leaders took over the downtrend or the shell of the city when they came in here.
I would say that's essentially so, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to sound as if everything bad that has occurred at the point when the black leadership took over. The country, particularly our cities, are faced with the kinds of problems that Compton is faced with. And what makes Compton unique, as I said before, is the superimposing of the black power structure on the situation. And I think that's the essential factor.
Now, how have they done by blacks becoming the establishment?
Well, I think that, first of all, blacks have not yet become the establishment. I think it's too early to assign that title. However, I think we're in a period of transition now, both with respect to the changes that are occurring in the city, the changes that have occurred in the leadership, and the settling in of the incumbents. And I feel that things have been pretty good, but really and truly, you talk about expertise, experience, track.
Because some lower class blacks are moving in to get away.
I think if a person is sufficiently middle class, whether or not he's black or not, he tends to demonstrate his upward mobility by moving into a situation that is more in keeping with his aspirations. Larger home, better cars, better clothing, better diet, cultural aspirations, these kinds of things. And I don't think you have to color that black or white. I think that this is America. And when a person is able to earn more money, well, then he's able to not only indulge himself, but to take advantage of what America has to offer. And we have probably the best offering of any.
Are we seeing a new trend? 10 years ago, whites were moving out because blacks were moving in. Now some middle class blacks are moving
Cheetah,
out.
you need to eat something.
Because some lower
No.
blacks are moving in. Is that new?
I haven't agreed that middle-class blacks are moving out because of lower-class blacks. I think middle-class people, again, tend to
Cheetah
move
mad.
upward, and it doesn't matter what the ethnicity of the people that they're getting away from. In fact, they're really not so much getting away from as getting to what their aspirations are. Now, I think that this trend is occurring now because of the proliferation of opportunities in our economy.
For blacks.
For all Americans. That's what I would say.
Why the high crime rate for Compton?
Well, again, I think that the high crime rate reflects the conditions from which the people who perpetrate the crime spring. And I'm not trying to say that as a cop-out, for example, to say that the person didn't have a father in his home, therefore he went on the crime route. Because what we find is that we get the extremes coming from the same general home environment. For example, you might have a Rhodes Scholar and a San Quentin probably coming out of the same home. So it's too easy to give a simple answer to a question like that. I think it's due to myriad problems, myriad conditions of the history of the situation, individual differences in people, acculturation, conditioning, and a number of other factors. And so I don't think we can give a simplistic answer. I think that we can't learn from Compton until Compton has accomplished things that people can recognize as successes. I feel that some successes have been achieved. However, I think it'll take some time before all of the inputs are in and you can evaluate it.
And blacks can govern themselves?
Yeah, I think that's the same as saying, can people govern themselves? And if you say people can govern themselves, blacks are people, therefore they certainly can govern themselves. And too often this speaks to the double standard that I was talking about in our country. See, there are people, and then there are blacks who are regarded as something else. I think if you can look at the humanness of people, you'll see the same components in everybody. And I think if you go to China, you go to India.
Motherfucker!
Okay, my father expects the pager. Any other answers? The paper means direct object of expects. Okay, Ruben? Okay, some mail. Very good. Okay, good. Great. Okay, controls the machine. Controls being the what? What is controls? What part of speech? A verb. Okay, controls the car. Clear. Okay, raising a form. Ruben, rather. Is it complete sentence? Sure it is. Okay. What is complaint? What is it? A verb. Okay, neighbors is what? The subject. The subject of the sentence. Okay, number 6. The rain had stopped. Rain had stopped. Okay, number 7. The writer requested. Okay, an answer. That's a good one.
This is Art and Fran Nygaard, N-Y-G-A-A-R-D. And that's pretty good.
You're at the head of the class.
Speaking of class, if we can go in on Art first, Merle. Let's talk about the black leadership of this city. How would you rate them?
Can I have some money?
Wait for the door. How would you rate the black leadership in Compton?
Well, I believe they are making some progress. There's considerable that to be desired, and I do realize that they have a lot of unusual obstacles that some communities don't have.
What are some of the problems that they have to encounter?
Well, one of the problems, of course, is that the crime rate has increased, and
as they put in the papers, and they'll put it all over the whole United States as if we're the worst country or worst town, and I don't think we are. And it rather burns me up to hear us torn down to the ground when I hear from other people, like a neighbor across the street just came from Detroit. She said, you know, the women don't dare go out after night in Detroit. So she said, I guess they're just as bad off.
You can tell me some of these things. For instance, you saw a lot of your white friends simply leave you isolated here, didn't you?
I certainly did. About 90% of them left.
Why did you stay?
I think they're a bunch of cowards.
50 years ago because we liked the location. It was called the Hub City at that time, where you could go to Long Beach, Redondo, or to Orange County or Los Angeles, and we were a regular Hub City. We have less smog than any town anywhere around because the winds come in the afternoon and blow it over to Whittier and Cerritos and a few places like that. You can go up Alameda 5 miles and get into the smog, and we don't have it here.
They called that a white flight, that when the open housing came in and blacks started moving into a community, the whites panicked and left. How do you feel about all that?
I think they're a bunch of cowards myself. There was nothing to be afraid of here any more than there would be any place else. And I think a lot of them used it as excuses. And several have written to me, say at Christmas time, and are sorry that they left. Where they have gone wasn't what they thought it was going to be.
A man at the Chamber of Commerce said that really the whites were to blame for the way Compton is now.
Took in with an arrow behind every tree, and they said, well, not exactly that. I said, then why won't you come down? Oh, my husband doesn't want me to come. And I said, now that to me is an alibi. You have a car, you go where you want to go.
Did the whites simply just move out and leave everything?
Mm-hmm. One neighbor and then another. In our, there's 4 blocks where we are, and two 2 blocks on either side of the street, and there are only 3 colored families. 2 are white widows, and ourselves, 3 of us.
Now you're seeing another phenomenon, which is blacks who want to move out of Compton.
That's right. And we can't understand that. We just can't understand why they would want to do that. They wanted the town, and some of these people ran out and let them have it, which there was room for all of us. Now, next to us, we have the president of the college, and you could never find a nicer man than Abel Sykes is. And we have colored people across the street. And if when our house was broken into, I called for him and he came over and he stayed with me. And I mean, they're friends, they're real friends. I don't think of them as being colored. They're just friends, that's all.
Now, are the black people who want to move out of Compton, do they want to go because of the problems?
As anybody else.
They're unconcerned.
Yes.
Down about it. Those across the street from us have put iron bars all over their windows and their doors, and I said, you look like you're in jail. Well, he said, I want my wife protected when I work at night. And I said, well, they don't break in our houses at night. And he said, well, I feel safer that way.
Your house is undoubtedly secure.
There are things on. Ours is wired, but I certainly wouldn't have a bar on my window or door to make it look like it was a jail.
Has it ever been broken into?
Oh, yes, 3 or 4 times.
At your store?
Yes, 3 or 4 times.
But you're still here?
Yes. Takes more than that to scare us out.
We still have faith in Compton, and we believe that as things go along, that we'll see a lot of progress.
Well, do you think the black leadership is going to be able to govern the city?
I don't know. I'm just gonna end that news report. The other one, it was either that one or the mob news reports from the 70s and 80s. I'm just gonna go without music, or without anything.
I have a family! Semper Fi, motherfucker!
Are you kidding me?
Here goes nothing. But there's no tanks. There's a tank. Is that the end of this stream?